on the day as we look forward a lot in store for you, and that is why to start off a bulletin today we were able to track along the streets of Nairobi to just ask your views on what you think about the finance bill that has been proposed and is being enacted as of tomorrow. What are your views? What do you think about it? What should it be added? What should be reduced, or what should be removed? And here is what you have to say.
Kwa jina naitwa Kingori. Mambo ya finance bill imeenda sasa kutuweka katika shimo. Manake katika tukiongezwa mzigo na ile tulikuwa naye, tuletwa mzigo ingine, ni kama sasa tunaambiwa tukibirie kwa kichaka. Kwa sababu kama sasa hii gari nilileta hapa inafanyaga kazi. Tulikosa pesa, tulimwaga hilo tukakosa pesa ya kununua oil kwa sababu hatuna pesa. Kwa sababu kila kitu imepanda. Mambo ya magari, kuna hiyo insurance imepanda. Sasa tukienda kwa mkulima hata ule hata kwa pikipiki na mambo yake imepanda. Ukienda kwa mkate imepanda. Tuseme kila kitu, hata ukizaa mtoto diapers imepanda. Kwa hivyo ni kama hii serikali inataka tutoroke kabisa hii nchi tukae nchi nyingine. Na ningetaka vile walituambia ndini hasara atueleze hiyo hasara ilikuwa inamini namna gani. Ni kutumaliza watu wote wakuwe hasara, kwa sababu wao ndio dynasty sasa. Sisi ni mahasara.
Jina mimi naitwa Joana Kinyi, mfanyibiashara katika Buruburu, Katulo Road, Rabai. Sisi ni wana biashara tudogo na nilikuwa nataka kuongelea juu ya financial bill. Mimi nilikuwa naomba serikali iangalia watu wadogo. Juu kama alisema bottom up, wache ikue bottom up. Kwa sasa hii warahia wenye hawana chochote ndio wanaumia, na wenye wako na pesa wanasikia vizuri. Kwa hivyo hii financial bill ikikuja, sisi raia ndio tunaenda kuumia. Kila kitu bei iko juu. Kwa hivyo sisi tunaomba serikali waangalie wananchi wa chini. Sisi ndio tunapiga kura na sisi ndio tutawaondoa na tunawaweka. Kwa hivyo tunaomba Bwana President William Ruto, tafadhali waangalie watu wa chini. Sisi wa mama, kuna wajane, kuna wenye hata wana kazi. Sahi watu wanabomolewa manyumba, hakuna hata mahali mtu ataenda. Sasa wewe unataka ushuru na hakuna mahali anafanya kazi. Tafadhali serikali waache kuumiza watu wa chini.
Na maisha yetu ya hasara venye alikuwa ametuahidi, tafadhali serikali tuangalieni na serikali acha kutusupua. Juu sasa tutafanya nini? Kusema tu kweli, hakuna kazi, hakuna nini, sisi tunahangaika huku Nairobi aone. Lakini Ruto tuko naye pamoja, kama utatusaidia kesho tuangalilia maslahi yetu ya maasha.
Now, we will have a detailed report on the same, that is tomorrow. Please please stay tuned and watch out for the same. Now, moving away from that, on Wednesday, President William Samoei Ruto received credentials from 5 new ambassadors and a high commissioner at Nairobi State House. This presentation of credentials marked the first time Kenya Defence Forces soldiers participated in the ceremony. National anthems of the respective countries were played and their flags were raised after each ambassador presented their documents to the President William Samoei Ruto. Previously, the presentation of credentials was an indoor event. However, in the Commonwealth community, receiving credentials from a new ambassador is a significant state ceremony for the head of state in its formality and essence. Only after this ceremony are the ambassadors recognized as official representatives of their countries. The new ambassadors expressed their commitment to strengthening bilateral relations with Kenya for the benefit of their nation's people. Those who presented their credentials included Ambassadors Anwar Ben Youssef from Tunisia, Patricio Alberto Aguirre Vacheri from Chile, Luis Alejandro Levi from Argentina, and Romy Sonia Tinkopa Grados from Peru. Other ambassadors, Sabit Subashik from Bosnia and Herzegovina based in Egypt, and Ambassador Joanne Thomas Edwards, High Commissioner of Jamaica, residing in South Africa.
Your Excellency, Tunisia and Kenya, as African countries, share the common destiny of struggle for independence, and since the establishment of our diplomatic relations on December 12, 1963, our two countries share a common aspiration for development and prosperity for our people. It's a privilege for me to present my nation in such amazing and beautiful country, Kenya. And in this regard, I would like to assure Your Excellency of the profound interest of Tunisia in strengthening the bilateral relation between our two countries. I will strive during my mission to contribute to the enhancement of bilateral cooperation between Tunisia and Kenya in all sectors of common interests, such as economy, health, technology, culture, academic and military cooperation.
Additionally, Jamaica and CARICOM look forward to the conclusion of the pending Memorandum of Understanding, the MOU, between CARICOM and the African Union to establish a consultation cooperation mechanism between CARICOM member states and Kenya. Jamaica and Kenya, and the region rather, look forward to strengthening our commitment as the sixth region of Africa to strengthen the bonds of friendship and cooperation between our regions. Again, Mr. President, I reaffirm.
Indeed, congratulations to them. Various nations have shown keen interest in Kenya's initiative to send police officers to Haiti to restore peace in the conflict-stricken Caribbean nation. While presenting their credentials to President William Ruto at Nairobi State House, ambassadors from Tunisia, Chile, Peru, Egypt, Argentina, and Jamaica committed to supporting Kenya in its plan to deploy these police officers for peacekeeping in Haiti. President William Samuel Ruto stated that Kenya is determined and committed to ensuring that calm and peace are restored in Haiti and called for cooperation among different countries to address the issue.
To pursue the interests of your government within the territory of Kenya by fostering the bonds of friendship and promoting to the widest possible within the law the mutual aspirations of the peoples of our two nations, thereby expand our relations to the widest extent possible. I also welcome the support of your government in the leadership of Kenya on the mission to Haiti to restore stability in that country.
Now, the Deputy President, Rigathi Gachagua, criticized his opponents, saying he cannot refrain from being proud of his tribe. Speaking at the International Conference of the Kenya Pharmacists Association in Mombasa County, and amid significant pressure from comments by leaders accusing him of promoting tribalism, Gachagua stated that every Kenyan should take pride in their mother tongue. He also warned leaders politicizing the issue of tribalism, urging Kenyans to enjoy their tribal affiliations because everyone belongs to a specific tribe. However, Gachagua continued to warn his critics, saying they should not blame others for speaking their first and mother tongue.
I work in pharmacy. You don't have a hospital. And all treatments, the diagnosis, the theater, whatever it is, and all the hits after admission, the final stop before you go home is the pharmacy. That tells you the importance of your profession. You are really the backbone of our health sector, and therefore it is critical that you must be very professional. You must be very professional, because if you dispense the wrong drug, the whole value chain from a consultation through diagnosis and tests and all that, if you dispense the wrong drug, all that effort is in vain. We therefore call for a very professional and robust body that you are members to support our health system. I want to say that I'm leading the fight against drugs and substance abuse.
Now, the story of Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua in Mombasa brought some bit of a tussle here and there in the parliament. Why? Because he decided to fly to Mombasa using a commercial airline. Now, this story, I shall talk about it at the end of the bulletin, so you might want to stick around for that because it's going to be a funny one. Now, moving on, in recent developments, the Teachers Service Commission has dismissed 742 junior secondary school teachers linked to protests demanding permanent employment. TSC's denied claims that all 46,000 junior secondary school teachers had been dismissed. The dismissed teachers vowed to fight back. On May 13th, TSC issued show cause letters to teachers who had breached their duties. Out of 10,348 teachers who received these letters, 9,606 responded within the 2-week deadline set by the Teacher Service Commission. The situation has led the Kenya Union of Post-Primary Education Teachers to take firm action and threaten to sue TSC for dismissing the 742 JSS teachers over allegations of protesting about permanent employment contracts.
We are asking the Commission to consider their decision that all the teachers should be transited to permanent and pensionable terms, because from the standpoint that these people and served this country for 2 years for free, and now you want to be, to tell them to go home and to condemn them into joblessness without even being heard. The union will not allow this to go on. These are professionals, people are trained, and now being told you cannot even, we are not even sure whether they will be able to get employment in the future, because when our contract is terminated, the TSC might also be telling them even in the future, you don't seek a job with us. So it's very unfair. In fact, they are inciting the entire teaching fraternity. Those are teachers in waiting. In solidarity with them, we may want to call on the teaching fraternity on demonstrations, because once one of us has been touched, all of us have been touched.
Now, the members of parliament in the country have expressed concerns that the school feeding program might fail after the government reduced the budget for the Ministry of Education. Led by the Education Secretary Belio Kipsang in the Parliamentary Education Committee, it was stated that the school feeding program might not be realized due to a cut of 7 billion Kenyan shillings. Defending this move, Belio said the Ministry of Education plans to engage with the National Treasury on the issue of school feeding and to increase this allocation to implement the program. MPs are calling for the school feeding funds to be directed to the NGCDF fund to facilitate timely implementation of the feeding program.
In very specific terms, you can tell us the effect of how will it affect the school feeding program in specific terms? That is a budget cut. Will it not be a proper thing to do that we need to have a mandatory school feeding for each and every child going to a school, in wherever part of this particular country?
But you cannot deny a child who has already been benefiting. You cannot withdraw a benefit that has always been enjoyed. And in this particular circumstance, we do not intend to withdraw a benefit. However, in the financial year 2024, the budget has been reduced, though there is still engagement on this, to 3 billion shillings.
Members of parliament from arid areas in the country have strongly criticized the Ministry of Education for delays in distributing textbooks from the ministry to schools. Speaking at an education conference in Wamba, Samburu East, as leaders stated that candidates from these areas in Form 4 are completing their terms before the ministry distributes books to help them review. In unison, they said that this situation has hindered the education of children from pastoralist areas, urging the ministry to take responsibility for timely distribution of this essential and crucial textbooks.
In very specific terms, you can tell us the effect of how will it affect the school feeding program in specific terms? That is a budget cut. Will it not be a proper thing to do that we need to have a mandatory school feeding for each and every child going to a school, in wherever part of this particular country?
But you cannot deny a child who has already been benefiting. You cannot withdraw a benefit that has always been enjoyed. And in this particular circumstance, we do not intend to withdraw a benefit. However, in the financial year 2024, the budget has been reduced, though there is still engagement on this, to 3.
Away from education, tension continues to rise in the Rumuruti area after a herder was killed by a police officer on suspicion of theft during an altercation in Rumuruti, Laikipia County last night. Herders and residents of Rumuruti have called for the police department to intervene and investigate the cause of the killing of one of their own, stating that a reserve police officer on patrol in the area shot the suspect, believing him to be a thief on a politician's private farm. The residents have complained about recurring incidents of herders and residents being killed in the area and demanded an investigation, accusing the police of misusing their firearms.
Kisanga ingine istoke hapo amenisikia akaenda tu. Sasa kuanzia hapo ndio maneno ikaanza. Mtu wao kijana yetu mmoja ambaye ni jirani yangu na walileta mali hadi hapa police station.
Leo asubuhi nashangazwa na kitendo ambayo imetendeka, ya kwamba sisi raia especially Wasamburu wenye wanaishi hapo karibu na area inaitwa Morogo wamekuwa wakiuawa kila siku na hakuna mtu anaongea kwa niaba yao. Kila siku wanauawa kama wanyama na wanauawa na bunduki ya serikali ambayo walipewa bunduki kushuka binadamu. Wamegeuka sasa ni kuua binadamu na bunduki ya serikali. Tena ya usuni kubwa ni kwamba wanauawa ndani ya boma lao.
Kijana yetu ambaye amepoteza maisha kupitia kwa hii njia ni kama ile nakumbuka kabisa ni vijana 4. Na kwa sema kweli siku ya leo hii mambo ambaye ilisemekana KPR inapeana Laikipia inapeana na njia ambaye hatujafurahisha sisi kama jamii nyingine, kwa sababu siku ya leo askari bunduki ya serikali alitumika kabisa.
Now, in the government's efforts to advance and implement its main agendas, Interior Cabinet Secretary Kithure Kindiki officially launched the 4th implementation system of government agendas at Chuka University, Tharaka Nithi County. Speaking in Chuka, Minister Kindiki defended the government's measures to ensure that the agendas they had set are achieved as one of the ways to develop the country. Kindiki assured the residents of Tharaka Nithi that the Kenya Kwanza government has great visions for Kenyans, calling for support for the government to fulfill its duties and deliver on its promises to Kenyans.
Today, in fact, in some parts of the country, unga is retailing at 90 shillings for 2 kilograms. Hiyo ndio kazi ambayo imefanya rais asiwe mtu wa kupata usingizi, lakini sasa mambo imedhibitika. Kapata madeni ndio hayo, taifa ilikuwa katika deni, ilikuwa katika hatari ya kufilisika. We were almost being bankrupt as a country. I want to give you the commitment of the government of Kenya. We will revive, build and complete all those roads, and we will build new ones in this administration. And therefore, before President William Ruto comes to us for a second term, we will have addressed those issues, because this is not a talking government.
Focusing on county news, of 4,000 farmers living near the Magarini constituency in Kilifi County are opposing what they called an illegal land grabbing scheme by a salt company claiming to be the legal owner of the land. The angry residents demonstrated after land surveyors who were supposed to attend a meeting with the locals and the local administration failed to show up, citing a court case. The residents unanimously vowed not to vacate their land, stating that traditionally the area has been owned by local communities, and called the central government to intervene and resolve the situation.
Huyu Chief Francis Ngala huyu alikuja kunishukisha mimi juu ya nyumba na magari ya askari ili nyumba yangu ivunjwe. Na mimi nikashuka pale, nikashuka juu ya nyumba na tingatinga likangusha nyumba yangu. Nikamwambia chifu, hii mnayofanya ni haki? Basi kama mmeangusha hiyo nyumba, mimi niko hapa sitoki na ngoja hawa askari wengine waje wanichukue wanitoe, lakini kama nikutoka hapa mimi sitoki. Na nilibaki pale nikajenga kinyumba chengine nikakaa pale.
Kwa hivyo wananchi tulieni, na haya matakwa ambayo saa hii mmetupatia tunaenda kuyashughulikia, na mimi niko kipaumbele ili kuhakikisha kwamba hii suluhu la mambo ya ardhi ndani ya hii Adward tunapata jibu lake.
Our police officers in Migori County have arrested 3 individuals, seized 2 motorcycles and launched a manhunt for a 4th suspect found with bang earlier today in Isebania, Korea West in the county. 2 suspects transporting their contraband on motorcycles were apprehended but managed to escape before one of them was captured hiding in a house in the county. Confirming the incident, Migori County Police Commander Francis Nguli said that the 3 were arrested while attempting to flee and the motorcycles seized were transporting bang valued at over 5 million Kenyan shillings. The 3 are expected to be arraigned in court to face charges of drug trafficking.
We want also to caution the motorcycle riders that they are being used by these drug peddlers. And remember, we are fighting a lot to ensure that we eradicate the issues of illicit brew, drugs, and all those narcotic substances. And we shall not relent our effort to ensure that
Now, earlier today, members of parliament from Tana River County addressed the media about the border disputes in Tana River County and the lack of security in the border areas between Tana River and Kitui counties due to these disputes. The MPs noted that the county governments are aware of the county boundaries and called on police officers to fulfill their duties to ensure security, as more than 2 people have died due to border conflicts in these areas, particularly in Karuti. Referring to a recent incident where residents clashed with police officers and injured them, the MPs urged that any project between the 2 counties should be discussed openly in the border areas to eliminate the existing border conflicts.
They were posted there as officers, and their prime responsibility is to maintain law and order, not to do the opposite. That place called Kuriti, there was all peace, order, and stability. But after the invasion of those officers, there were many injuries and casualties that arose between a fight of those contingent officers who have been sent there and the residents. And we want to put them on notice that they will take personal responsibility. Shall there be any harmful outcome between those 2 counties, between Tana River and Kitui, the RC Eastern and the County Commissioner Kitui are to be held personally responsible for any outcome that will come out of those border conflicts. Because of late, there were peaceful coexistence between residents of Kitui and residents of Tana River County. If there is any project that the government wants to undertake, of which, in this sense, I doubt that our government will have any ill motive within Tana River County, leaders ought to be informed in good time. We need to buy that idea, sell to our public. We need to welcome it. And maintaining law and order and stability of our country is an objective to be achieved by everyone.
Harambee Stars head coach Engin Firat expressed his pride in his players after holding African champions Ivory Coast to a goalless draw at the Bingu National Stadium in Malawi. This draw made Kenya the only team in Group F to hold the Elephants in the qualifiers for the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Before this match, the team coached by Emery Faye had secured 3 consecutive victories against Seychelles, Burundi and Gabon. However, they could not replicate that form against Kenya, and Firat could not hide his pride, stating that the Stars deserved the win.
You have to see the whole picture, and the whole picture is a different one, because when the draw was made, I had different plans than today. So because normally my plans was to sit down now in Nairobi and to play tomorrow in front of 40,000 Kenyans. So the next point was that when you make the plans, even against Burundi, from the players we invited for national team, 8 was missing. They couldn't. All plans are gone broken, and we are not a country who can really replace every player. And you see now at the moment we have a team full with local players. If you ask us, the Ivorian, when was the last time a local player played in the Ivorian national team? Ask them. So, because sometimes in Kenya they dream that our home league or local league is the best in the world, but believe me, it is not, and therefore it's not easy for us. So when you look at the whole picture then you have to understand, if you are the much better team and get this goal in the last minutes, it hurts.
Now that marks the end of today's EBN TV Prime Edition. That was sports. My name is Consolata Chibalonza. But before I go, I want to leave you with this. Deputy President Rigathi Gachagwa's decision to opt for a commercial flight to Mombasa has laid bare the simmering tension within the ruling coalition, that is Kenya Kwanza, in a much publicized flight on Tuesday. Gachagua was captured on camera walking through the alleys of the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport at around 4 p.m. pulling a blue suitcase with no security aids on site. Gachagua flew to Mombasa to attend the International Scientific Conference currently ongoing, where he was the chief guest. Now, funny sentiments and comments were given by the members of parliament. I want you to chew on this, take a laugh, as I wish you a good night. See you tomorrow as we discuss the financial bill. From EBN TV, it is a good night.
Honorable Speaker, we have lately seen discordant voices, especially emanating from the presidency. And the presidency is composed of the president, the deputy president, the cabinet, and those others in that chain, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, whereas I would be least concerned about what happens in Kenya Kwanza, but when these matters have potential to create disunity in our country, then I will be very much concerned, Honorable Speaker. In Bungoma, where you played a very good host to the most successful Madaraka Days ever in this country, I did realize, Honorable Speaker, that 40 minutes later, when the president had sat down, the deputy president showed up. And the president of the Republic of Kenya had to welcome his deputy, which is totally a break from tradition, Honorable Speaker. On Sunday, during an event of the Akorino brothers in Nakuru, the deputy president arrived 1 hour after the president had sat down. And just next to that president was his seat, which was being warmed by the Minister for Water and Irrigation, my friend Zachary Njeru. And when he showed up, he started, castigating the weather. He started castigating his means of transportation and many other things, Honorable Speaker. Yesterday, to my dismay, the deputy president took a commercial flight to Mombasa and was hauling his own bag, getting into the aircraft, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, this House appropriates and budgets for travels of the Deputy President, Honorable Speaker. And at no given time have we ever envisaged a situation where he takes a commercial flight. But if he takes solace out of commercial flights, then it is upon and incumbent upon this House to reduce his travels by 95%, because we know what is being charged by commercial flights and the rates that are being charged by chartered flights, Honorable Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, yesterday I watched in the social media the Deputy President carrying a bag in the streets of Jomo Kenyatta. What struck me, Mr. Speaker, in that episode, as somebody who has traveled a lot, is the kind of bag the Deputy President was carrying. That one really struck me. That kind of bag is not for the Deputy President. That bag is for something else. Another thing that struck me in that episode is what was the content of that bag, because the Deputy President could not even give it to his bodyguard. He had to hold it himself in person, Mr. Speaker. What could have contained in that bag, Mr. Speaker? I don't know whether a committee of this parliament can get to know for us. What is the content of that bag that you cannot even trust with Ngunjiri Wambugu was behind him, that he held for me this bag, Mr. Speaker? Those are the two things that struck me in yesterday's episode politically. But having said that, Mr. Speaker, why are we discussing this matter here? The only place that can hold the presidency accountable is Parliament, Mr. Speaker. They are held accountable here, constitutionally. You know, Mr. Speaker, you can hold somebody accountable in the sense that if it is your responsibility to dismiss him from the job he has, then you are the only one who can hold him accountable. It is a clear provision in the Constitution that this is the House that can remove anybody who occupies those offices, Mr. Speaker, and you are a senior lawyer.
I feel that I need to put in a perspective of a newcomer in politics of Kenya. Mr. Speaker, while I really don't know how this country will be in a few years, I feel like we are changing tune and we are coming out in a way that we can even mess our democracy. Mr. Speaker, I want to call upon our senior leaders to embrace speaking in the rooms, and then they come out to tell us in very clear terms what is happening and what is going in the country, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I was also very worried when I saw the Deputy President carrying his own bag. And I felt sad because if I was there, I could have carried for him the bag.
Was he carrying or towing?
He was carrying the bag, Mr. Speaker, and it looked like a bag that wouldn't fit even in the carrier side of the plane. And Mr. Speaker, I feel this is something that the majority leader must clarify to this House. Why would we have the Deputy President carrying a bag in a commercial flight? And Mr. Speaker, I also feel we are getting into the conversation of how to save on costs. And we need to embrace what the Deputy President has brought about, that we should be able to travel together with our colleagues who are not senior members of our society. But Mr. Speaker, we have bigger problems to think about.
He's talking about the Deputy Speaker taking a PR show to the runway. And I would like for the whip to understand that PR as a practice in itself is a very respectable profession. But most importantly, you also got to understand, Mr. Speaker, and I have to put this straight, that the Deputy President is on record saying that he is a product of the drama festival. He has acted on stage, in plays, even at the University of Nairobi, Mr. Speaker. So if he decides to put up a play, it is not the place of the whip to call him out on putting up a PR show, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the Deputy President is very serious about supporting the talents in this country. Only a few days ago, Mr. Speaker, the Deputy President was there for the launch of the Bahati show, Mr. Speaker. We might have had a continuation of the same show on the side, on the runway of at JKI, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, I was seeking to find out if the whip is in order to take a mickey at very serious professions. The profession of PR and public relations, the profession of actors, and even the people who chase clout for content, Mr. Speaker, for TikTok, are also doing a serious job, Mr. Speaker.